notified? How do you guys get notified?
If there is an emergency, you call 000. Then they'll ask you where the address of the emergency. An emergency response is sent out.
As you just saw, these two brave people just went for a job, and as you just heard, the buzzer went off and then they just get dressed up. So we will be asking a few questions from them. The dress they just wore, what's this called, and how do they feel while going for a job? So how are you, sir?
I'm good. Yeah.
Can I please have your name?
I'm Michael.
Michael. So can you please tell us a bit about yourself? What inspired you to join the QLD Fire?
My initial inspiration was to help the community, help people in need, and to give back to our community.
So, how does it feel when you go for a job and save a house, save someone's life, and while you're coming back, what sort of feeling do you carry then?
It's a rewarding and fulfilling that you've helped people in need in their day.
Have you ever had a scenario where you've saved someone and the people come, a guy or a girl saying thank you from their heart, and which made you very happy that someone is appreciating your work?
Of course, yeah. But that's what we do for our living. We do that every day, but it's good to hear that acknowledgement.
So, all the years you have worked for QLD Fire, what's the highest achievement you have achieved which has made you very happy? Or is there anything else you want to achieve while working for this department?
Going to certain jobs where you certainly make an impact on saving their house, where they can continue their life in their house. That's certainly a highlight, really, just to do our utmost to keep their lifestyle minimally impacted by the emergency.
So just a last question. So when the bushfire happens and you guys go and they calm the fire down, what should we do to support you guys to stay away from the trouble so you guys can do your jobs very easily?
Yeah, certainly stick by the law to keep out of our way while we're on the road, responding with lights and sirens. Make way for us to get through. And when it comes to the site where the emergency is at, certainly keep out of the way and behind barriers.
Amazing. Thank you for your time. Now we will move on to our next colleague. How are you?
I'm really
Yes, can I please have your name?
My name is Alex.
Alex. So Alex, can you please tell me something about all the women who want to join QLD Fire and haven't had a chance? So any special message for them to maybe they can get inspired and come out and join the QLD Fire and save the people's life like you have been doing?
First of all, I would like to say that if you really would like to support and challenge yourself and do something good for the people, I would say go for it. It might take a little bit of time, but it's definitely worth it.
So like the years you have worked for QLD department, what's the special thing you have achieved, or is there any special goal you would like to achieve?
So I'm pretty fresh. I just graduated from the academy, so I am in the job for maybe 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah, so for me, achievement is just to actually become a firefighter, and I'm really excited for the next steps.
Amazing. So how does it feel being a firefighter?
Great, it feels great. I'm very excited. I feel very privileged, and I'm really lucky every day that I can be part of this conversation. And yeah, I can't wait to be exposed to more and get more experience.
That's amazing. You know, sometimes how girls, especially the women or girls, they have other society pressures as well. You know, they face a lot of pressures. Instead, like males, sometimes they have an easier job, but women, they face more struggles. So facing the struggle, all the women facing struggles and then still achieving what they want in their life, that's really good. So I think this is a good message for all the people who want to achieve something in your life. Can you please at least try to achieve something? If you sit in your home and maybe while thinking to getting something, you might not be able to get it because you have to step out of your house and achieve what you want to achieve in life. In my life, I'm trying the uniform, so let's see how it goes. And I'm very excited about that.
So we'll just set it up for you first so you can jump straight into it properly.
And just put the pants up.
Yep, and then put the jacket on, then you've got the gloves, you've got the face shield as well, just stop your ears and face getting burnt, and I'll get you a breathing apparatus as well. So when you step in,
So the pants are ready. That's the jacket.
So to do that first,
What's that for?
Okay, at this point in time, you're going to put your breathing pack on, breathing apparatus. This has about 35 to 40 minutes of breathable air inside it.
So that's the breathing
apparatus.
apparatus. So how long it can last?
About 35 to 40 minutes.
35 to 40 minutes. Wow.
So with that, we've got a number of interesting pieces on it. Do the shoulder straps up first, just to take away that, because I'm actually holding up just pulling back. They weigh about 14 kilos, so all up, the gear there is probably over 20 kilos before we even start work.
Wow.
And then you got to carry that hose.
That is really a heavy.
Well, these are actually lighter nowadays. They used to be even heavier than that. So we put our bar on nice and tight. That's all comfortable. So at the back here, we've got our air cylinder where we actually turn it on. So this is at 300 bars of pressure. So 300 atmospheres is pumped into here. You come around the front here. It's got a pressure reducer, and then it goes into our face mask. Okay, we got this neck strap we just put over there so we don't drop it in the dirt anywhere. Okay, we have a look here, we've got what's called a 5-point harness. Now this here, as you can see, there's no air coming out at this point in time. Okay, we're at that stage where we're going to put the mask on, so that's what's called a 5-point harness, and that's fixed onto our head so no air can flow outside of it. But you'll find that there's no air coming out of this at all at this point in time, so when you put that up to your face, usually you're supposed to have no facial hair, so it disrupts the seal. But these are what they call...
Okay, so this is why I was wondering, no one's got the beard. So that's why, because we do not have to have hair while putting that on. At the moment I do have beard, so let's see how it goes.
Yeah, that's correct. You can have a mustache, but it's got to stay within the outer periphery. It can't extend out past it, but that's a pretty big mustache, isn't it? When it goes that. Right at that stage, you've got the neck strap on, that stops it going into the mud. Then what we're going to do is you're going to get your palm of your hand, you're going to put that towards your face, seal your face, and take a deep breath.
so push it up at the top there.
Okay? Breathe in.
So that bit up at the top there needs to seal. Might pull your hair a bit.
Sorry, I'm just... Okay, so now seal that across your face. Now, that's it. When you hear that first breath mechanism, what that does is it activates the positive pressure system inside. So anytime he has a break in that mask or damage to that mask, it will actually air out. It won't come inside the mask. So when you think about it, if you're drawing a breath, you're actually creating a negative area in your mask. So if there's any toxic products outside and we've got a broken seal here, it will actually force it out, not in. So that's called the first breath mechanism. So you'll find that if you can release that now, so you've got the bottom up. If you actually break the seal, so just put your finger under and break the seal here. Hear that? So if he breaks the seal or the mask comes slightly dislodged, it will actually blow air out and not inside. So at that stage where we've pretty well covered the whole body from any heat or flame impingement, these suits, they're actually quite a good robust suit, but what the thermal rating on it is actually not the suit itself, it's actually the air layer underneath it. So you'll find here, if you put your hand across here, you'll feel all these funny bubbles. They're designed to keep an air layer in between there, almost like a thermix flask. So the outer shell is just to keep the integrity of the suit, but it's the actual thermal layer. So sometimes what you'll have inside a fire is if I have my elbow bent like that and it's right up against my skin, is where I'll get the heat spot burns. So we try and keep it flying a bit, That's why you see fire suits are quite loose to keep that air layer on. So what we're going to do here now is cover your face and hair up so we don't want our ears burnt. So that does start to take away some of your sensory abilities when we're covering our ears and everything up with our mask. You're okay? All good?
I didn't tighten the top one up.
Okay, I'm just going to tighten that one up. No air leaking with that. Even with that beard, it's not leaking at all. But part of the standards, we're going to be cleanly shaven because some people they'll grow beards and they'll be really big, and then we go, well, you can't exactly wear that into a fire. Plus, it's a hazard for the fire too because hair actually catches on fire quite easily. So we're covered up quite well here. So you'll see there's no skin exposed. This has actually got a bit of a thermal rating as well to cover up. Okay, the last thing we've got to do, apart from putting our gloves on, is to put our helmet on. So these helmets are quite just similar to a motorbike or a bicycle helmet, just protects our heads there. They can actually take a lot of impact on top. They're designed to actually shatter and break and absorb that energy. So if a brick or something fell on our heads, it's not going to crack our skull, it will just crack the helmet and render it inoperable. I'm just extending this out. So when you're on shift, you'll have all this already set for yourself. It's like when you hop in a car, you'll set all the seat and everything, but it'll be already set for you. So there you go. And at the back here, we've got a neck flap. That's to stop any embers if our collar wasn't done up high enough, falling down the back of your shirt, which wouldn't be a nice feeling at all. Okay, and last but not least, we'll obviously do a pressure check here as well. So you'll see here, he's got a little clock here. That is actually telling me how much pressure is inside there. So currently we've got 270 atmospheres, so there's probably about 30 minutes of air left in there, okay? So we've got to keep an eye on that when we go inside. We've also got a person outside who maintains a communication pathway, so we don't have a radio with us here, but there will be. We've also got a torch to have a look at and thermal imaging camera if we've got one. So our crew will put some gloves on you, put those gloves on, left and right. So another thing that these, all this fire gear has on it is what's called a moisture barrier. So the moisture barrier is designed to keep any heated steam coming through and soaking the skin there to keep it out. So it generally breathes out and not in. Okay, so we've got our gloves on. And you feel the dexterity drops off quite rapidly. Okay. The other thing you've got here is what's called a thermal imaging camera. Thermal, okay, so it's picking up differences in heat. So it can pick up the minute amount of difference in heat. What it actually does, it will make a picture out of the heat signature around the place. So if I put it on our Firefighter here, you'll see that the hotter something is, the lighter it gets. So the beauty about that, if there's smoke in the air and we can't see visually, they'll actually pick up a signature through the smoke and we can actually do a search and rescue with that. It has made life for firefighters a lot easier. And the size of these infrared cameras has come down in size. The original ones were quite large, but these ones are a portable unit now, and it just makes life much easier. One other thing we got on here is what they call a distress signalling unit, or they call it a pass now. That's got all the details of our firefighter on. It'll have the pressure, they'll have what vehicle he's on, so what appliance he's assigned to. That will go handed over to the breathing BA entry officer, and the BA entry officer via radar communication here will talk with each other on their own select channel. You'll see in the mask here, it's got what's called a speech diaphragm. So if you talk, it will actually vibrate that diaphragm. It's like a, that's it. That's the units there. So if you don't move for a period of time, that will actually put it in warning. And if you still don't move, that will actually activate. So you don't want to be lazy in this job. Yeah. Oh, we can just activate the unit. So you can also activate it manually. It's actually quite loud. And then once we put the tag back. Okay, so there is quite a bit of gear. So when all that gear, then you've got your high-rise pack. If you need to take that, you've got a high-rise pack. So the weight starts to add up. That's why we try and keep all our personnel quite fit. And you'll see most of them around the fire service are actually quite fit because you've got to carry all this gear even before we start. You see, we get a high-rise pack for you. You've got to carry the hose. So we're over 20 kilos, probably 25 kilos as we speak. And then we put the gear on.
As you can see, so the uniform is 25 kg and it's very heavy. So this is why they say you have to be physically fit and you have to be a sports person to put it on. I have just put it on for 5-10 minutes and I'm already tired because this is very heavy. As you can see, full uniform.
With the fire on a floor, we use the actual building safety systems included in that, and some of them will have what they call risers. And these are in the stairwells or just out the landings out of the stairwells. We'll actually connect into that to obtain our water supply. So the beauty about that is we don't have to have a hose going all the way up the building. So the fire crew down the bottom will hook into the system at the bottom and we'll pressurise the pipes up on each landing, and that's the pack you take on every level to fight that fire.
How are you feeling? Are you feeling hot?
Yeah, so this, and how much weight?
Oh, that's about 15 kilos, 20 kilos as well.
So 15 kg of this, 25 kg the uniform. So 40 kg you have to put it on your body to go and save a life. You see how hard is that to save a life? That's not an easy job, and these guys have been doing amazing job to save us, to save our houses. Amazing. As you can see, it's very heavy uniform. But I'm already in love with it.
What I might get you to do is just stand on the scale, so we'll have all that gear on. Just see how heavy you're weighing in at. So he's weighing in at 105 kilos.
105 kilos.
So what we'll do is when you take all that gear off, we'll reweigh it.
So 105 kilos at the moment for you. But this uniform and this red bag.
Okay. So what I'm going to get you to do is you're going to take a deep breath and press that button here. I'm going to loosen up this stuff first. Yeah. Take a deep breath. Press the button. So what that button does, it just resets the first breath mechanism. Otherwise you'll have this.
Oh, yeah.
You just have, you don't want to waste it all. You'll have to charge it back up again. Okay, so then we're going to undo the waist belt here. Okay, and then just flick these two up. Yeah. That one up and that one up. And the reading of the other side. Okay, so the barrier will slip out, so you just got to make sure you don't drag that out. There you go.
You really have to be fit to put that uniform on.
You'll see here, this jacket consists of a number of layers. You got the outer shell.
So instead of doing the gear one, you need really fit. It was very heavy, so it was 105 kg with me, my uniform, and that red bag.
If you have a look in here, see you got an outer protective shell, heat resistant area. But you see these little bubbles? That's what creates the air in between the outer shell and the inner, and that's also got a moisture barrier inside which prevents steam coming inside, so you're not going to get steam burns as well.
So it protects you.
Oh yeah, for a certain period of time. Ultimately, if you don't have a hose line with you and that, it will eventually start to burn through, but it buys you a lot of time.
And now do the opposite.
Amazing.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum everyone. I hope you all are having a beautiful day today. Today I'm at the fire department office to give you guys a bit of information about how QLD Fire works and how they come to our houses and save our lives. So I am with Community Coordinator Engagement Officer Julian Ward. So we will ask her some questions and then see how the office, how the department works. So how are you, Julian?
I am well.
Good. Thank you so much for giving me and my viewers your precious time. We really appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
So can you please give us a bit of a briefing about your role? What sort of your role is and what do you do?
Okay, so my role in the Queensland Fire Department as a Community Engagement Coordinator, I work with community groups, vulnerable communities and schools to educate and engage the community to learn what to do in a fire, how to be prepared, how the response happens and how to ensure your own safety and try to get that messaging out. So I work closely with the fire service and the active crews so that they can share the message of fire.
So when, for example, if something happens outside, how do you guys get notified?
How does the fire service get notified?
Yeah.
So if there is an emergency and if you were to see something, perhaps a car accident, perhaps your house on fire, someone injured, you call 000. There's a free service in Queensland. You call 000 and you'll be asked a question by the operator and they'll say, do you want fire, police or ambulance? That's when you can answer fire if you see a car accident, smoke, fire, flames, ambulance if someone's injured, and police if you can see a crime occurring. So then you will speak to an operator, you'll speak to a person who will ask you a lot of questions to determine exactly where you are. That's the very first question they ask you, exactly where you are and what the emergency is. So once you've answered those questions, they will dispatch the necessary emergency service to you.
So those questions are necessary because sometimes what happens is if you have an emergency, right, and you call in 000 and then there are a few questions being asked and then people might be thinking that there is an emergency but they are still asking the question instead of coming. And so I think to let people know that are they questions necessary to find out what's happening and where the incident happened.
Yes, the very first question they'll ask you, they'll want you firstly to stay on the line, then they'll ask you what your address is or where the address of the emergency. And they'll ask you to repeat that sometimes because sometimes due to the noise in the area it can be hard to hear that. So once they've determined exactly the address and they find out, they'll ask a few more questions as to exactly what's going on. Often an emergency response is sent out. So it's on its way to you while you're answering a lot more questions. They just need to work out where it is first.
It's on its way while you are answering the question.
Yes.
That's a good information. I even didn't know about that. So I thought once they complete asking the questions and then the fire department and then the fire truck leaves, but they are already on the way. They are already on the action while someone is asking you the question. So that's a good knowledge.
Yes, so that's why the most important question is where are you? Where is the address? So that's where they're heading and then they'll ask all the other questions. And they do that to determine whether any other response is also necessary. So for an emergency, for a medical emergency perhaps, when you've called the ambulance, you'll get an ambulance going, but then sometimes you might find that there's, there might be a criminal death or there might be fire in the background and they'll then dispatch all of you. So it's nothing to be scared of. It's an important number to remember, 000. And if they get to you and it turns out that it wasn't an emergency or was a bit of a false alarm, that doesn't matter. That's their job. What these brave men and women do for a job is to go and make sure.
So what sort of advice would you want to give to the people who are scared of dialing 000?
If in doubt, just call 000. Don't wait until you feel quite sure it's an emergency because anything can potentially turn into an emergency. It's a 24-hour service, so there's no need to wait until business hours to call. Someone will answer your phone call 24 hours.
Wow. So, a lot of people who are living in their houses, right? And most of the people, they don't even know where the fire exit is, where the fire hose is. Because they just, don't really care about that. So what sort of advice do you want to give to those people?
One of the most important messages to get out to people, especially where there might be multiple families living in the one property, get out.
Yeah.
Get out, find a spot, speak to each other, have a plan in place, perhaps meet at the letterbox because that's usually got your house number on it and that's what the fire crews and emergency crews will be looking for as they come up the street to look for your house. And if there's a group of you standing at the letterbox, they can ask if there's anyone still inside, but if you're all outside, That's one of the have an escape plan. Very, very important to have a place to meet.
How long have you been working in this department?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. So what's the special achievement you have achieved which you are happy about?
I like to say I have the best job in the world. So I get to work with brave men and women every day. Every day of mine is a different adventure. I get to go to expos, I get to speak to people like you, I get to work with crews, I get to work with vulnerable communities and provide them information to keep them safe. And that is so important.
There are a lot of different communities, different leaders. Sometimes they also need information about the fire department, or sometimes they also want to get involved in these sort of events. So how is there any way they can reach out to you, or you guys can reach out to them and give them information, give them knowledge about how fire department works, or maybe like sometimes few people don't really understand English. So is there any interpreter who can also guide them in their own language?
We can access interpreters, and the best way, if you've got a community event or a group of people that you would like to have the fire service come to speak to, but you can deal that through me. You can contact me personally and I can organise. So that's my job.
If you guys are organizing a community event, and if you or your children, your community people need more information about how fire departments work, you can get in contact with Julianne and then she will organize that for you, right?
I can certainly do that. And that's very important to fire service in general, is getting the message out to people how to be safe in their own homes, how to be safe on the road, how to be safe for fire.
So safety is the main priority.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Now we are putting the harness to go up 25 meters. So we will show you how it looks from high in the sky.
That's it. Man,
Spin around, see if we go from there.
you got to squeeze both sides.
Just be ready.
So this is how we go up high and use that.
Control it there, or do you want to control it?
Might be just easier to do it there.
I can't see. You want to do it there.
Control this monitor. The boys can control it down here.
So it
They've got a remote, so just wherever you're standing. Fine.
Just make sure it doesn't
Is it
make
fine there?
right. I don't know where it's pointing.
So that can be controlled with the boys down there. Wow, look at that. Amazing. If you want to have a shower, you can come and join us. We got heaps of water there.
There you go. Thanks. You want me to move you over?
Sorry.
So how was your experience while going up there?
Oh, I love going up.
You love going up?
Yeah,
It was amazing. We had a chance to look at the weather and the beautiful places. Especially we were able to see the city as well.
Yes, in the city and all the way out to the port.
Yeah.
And then when they use the water, you can see what the capacity is
Yeah.
of these vehicles.